Welcome, welcome. No, I am not G Navas. He's somewhere doing yoga or something. Who knows? But it's me,
Right.
it's your girl Tiff. Listen, just some housekeeping notes. If you're watching live on Twitch right now, thank you for tuning in. I mean, you might be out watching my other team, the Cavs. Yes, I said it. I know. I know. Every Heat fan just threw up a little bit in their mouth. It's okay.
Fight her.
But if
You won't.
but if you're watching live on Twitch, you can always drop us with a sub. It's well appreciated. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe button. All those things you can do. Watch it a couple of times. Tell your mama to watch it. She might be down with mixed bag. You never know. Also, just so you know, it's February 1st, which means it's Black History Month, but it's black all the time, all day, all night, every day up in my house. So let me introduce my esteemed guest. First of all, I'm going to go to company. So right now, Nick, say what's up to the people, Nick. Come on now, let's go.
Yeah, what's up? Thanks for having me. I'm welcome to be here. I'm getting new into this content creator space, I should say, around Heat Nation. But glad to be here. Glad to be talking some hoops. I'm glad they finally won a game yesterday too. So
Hush,
That's
fired
Jesus.
up
it.
about that.
That's it. And y'all already know who my girl is. Bond, say what's up to the people.
What's
Oh,
good? Can you hear me? Can you see me? What just happened
you
here?
frozen, but we can hear you, so keep talking.
What's up? Let me fix this real quick. I'm still here. But hey y'all. Happy to be here back on Mixed Bag.
All right. So while Bond is working on, there we go. While we got the visuals right there, we're gonna jump right into it. Nick, I'm gonna come to you first since you're the guest. Last night's game. Let's get into it. Let me get your final thoughts about last night's game. What did you see? What didn't you see? And what's your thoughts moving forward?
Well, I'll start with this. It's very nice to finally see Jimmy Butler engaged. You saw it a little bit on Saturday against New York, where he really started to take control of the offense. It felt like he was really making those extra effort plays. And I get it. I do for the entire season. You're not going to get that of Jimmy Butler. That's not who he is. But I just think from time and time again, when I come back to this Heat team, is just like when Jimmy Butler is ready to play and ready to get down, and gives it at least 90% of his effort, the Heat are always going to be in a spot where they can win basketball games. And I just thought after the players only meeting, whatever you want to call it, the film session on Tuesday, you
Mhm.
needed to see a positive response from everyone, not just the top
Right,
guys, Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler. You needed to see everyone come engaged. And I just
right.
thought Caleb did an excellent job. I think Josh Richardson, talk about him having six triples off the bench, filling in for
Mhm.
Duncan Robinson. So I thought everyone came and played with a purpose. They came and played engaged. And I think when your leaders take that first step, exclusively Jimmy Butler in this
Mhm.
scenario, I think that's when this Heat basketball team can really start playing its best. And it's the reason why they've made the finals in two of the last four seasons.
Okay. All right. Bond, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, Caleb said, what needed to be said was said.
Mhm.
And Bam said we walked out of there with a lot of clarity. And so I really hope that all of those things is true. And given, kind of what we saw last night, it would, I guess beg to show that it was. I Jimmy, yes. So, whoever you ask, most people are going to tell you Jimmy's probably the emotional leader of this team, X, Y, and Z. And it's one thing to have the numbers, Jimmy
Mhm.
production, like the points and all of those things. But what I look for most is, and like you said, Nick, engaged Jimmy, active Jimmy. What does Jimmy look like effort wise, defensively and on the offense? Is he, one of the very first plays? He's digging really hard. He's trying to come from a double, doesn't get it, but he sprints back into the play. He
Mhm.
doesn't lollygag. He doesn't, let himself be too far out of the action. And just really small things like that. How is he attacking? How is he trying to get his points to begin? At the basket, footwork, ducking under people, and just kind of being who we know him to be from an activity standpoint. And then from there, I do think that you kind of saw the rest kind of follow suit. So I was proud. I was happy to see it last night. I know we're going to get into some other topics here about it, so I'll let that rock for a second. But yeah, just it felt refreshing. They felt
Right.
renewed, and I hope that it translates and that it stays, that it's sustainable, because this upcoming stretch is a tough one.
Right. I think for me watching last night's game, and I always go back to where's the smiles?
Yeah.
Because if you don't see the smiles on the court, That tells you everything you need to know. And right, last night everybody looked engaged. Everybody was on that string. Everybody was covering the next man. And that's one thing we haven't seen. We haven't seen players step up to, if you're out of place, I'm running to take that spot. We
Yep.
haven't seen that in a while. And I think also because we can trans like we can move into the next topic that I had with this because, I always say it's time for Jimmy to put the cape on. And I've said it for the last couple of seasons. And there are times where it's needed. But I also say I think everyone was looking for the cape too soon.
Yes.
I think when you take into account what he's done in Miami for 4.5 years, there was no way he was going to start the season with gangbusters. Like there was no way he was going to come out giving you 27, 28, 6 and 5. Like I don't think it was virtually possible. I felt like, and I said this today, he's like that classic car you got in the garage. It's going to take a while to heat up. You got to give it some gas. And while you're doing all of that, that station wagon is going to have to carry the groceries. So, and the station wagon is the rest of the team. That's
Yeah.
how I look at it. And I kind of felt that the pieces around him weren't ready to take that responsibility and to keep the team afloat. Not that they couldn't, I just don't know if mentally this team was in the position to do all of that after coming down from the high in which everyone was dancing in the street that we were getting Dame. So I felt like there were so many factors also contributing to the runs that they've been on, the injuries that Jimmy has sustained the last couple of years, i.e., especially the one during the Knicks series last year. There was just no way for him to come in and be the, I guess everybody likes to call it the engaged Jimmy, the Jimmy that cares, because it's kind of hard to get your body and your mind behind all that after you've just been getting beat up for the last 4.5 years. Um, but with that said, Jimmy put the cape on. He did his thing. He's been very efficient from the floor. He's getting to all his spots. His defense has ticked up a notch. What do you think? Like, how far do you think he can carry this? Like, is this sustainable for him to put the cape on today and just ride out the rest of the season? Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, well, you're going to need someone to step up. That's why I think they had so much success in late November, December, got up to 8 games above 500. Like, you were seeing Bam play such good basketball. You were seeing Tyler even play a little better. But then once Jimmy came back almost in a way, and I know that I saw a lot of discourse about it on Twitter and social media. Is like they just all didn't want to step on each other's toes, I should say. So it was one of those things where it's just like they were still trying to figure out, which is concerning in itself at points of that they still have to do that in year
Mm-hmm.
5 of this build. But I
Right.
think you saw that when it's just Tyler and Bam, sometimes they're able to get into more of a flow offensively. And then when Jimmy's there, they still don't know if they defer to him and let him go cape mode, as you say, like he has been doing in the postseasons. And because he doesn't want to do that at this point, and he
Right.
shouldn't be relied on to do that consistently. That's why I actually really liked yesterday. If you go back to the game, like when the rotations that Spo set, like they had a lot of Jimmy or excuse me, Tyler and Bam leading the offense when Jimmy went to the bench. And they made a very serious effort of when Butler sat down on the bench at times that they were going to run a lot of action between Tyler and Bam. And Tyler threw some good lobs, threw some
Mm-hmm.
bad lobs yesterday, but I am just happy that when they started to take Jimmy out, they ran a lot of those sets, and Tyler was looking to find
Mm-hmm.
Bam rolling to the rim because they've neglected him for so long. I really, you look at yesterday's game specifically, I thought that was one of the best overall games Tyler has played all season. I know he didn't score as much as people would
Mm-hmm.
want, or the Tyler
Mm-hmm.
fans, or whoever the people that just root for him, which I never understand anyway, but that's a different discussion for a different day. Um, he did such a good job, like 8
Right.
rebounds, 8 assists. Like the backcourt did not have a fantastic day in terms of scoring, but they were so effective yesterday. 18 combined assists. They were playing so
Mm-hmm.
well, and just like also something I want to mention with Terry, like that might have been the best 1 of 8 shooting game I have ever seen in my entire life. He was digging inside. Like he had a couple rips there at the end, pushing the pace, finding the open shooters. I just think that is a big key. Is like, hey, if your shooting doesn't hit, fall, they don't. That's fine. Just don't be a negative asset on the team outside of just if your shooting is not going in.
Go ahead, Bon.
So the sustainability of it all, I think it all is a really delicate balance between the three. And Nick, you were saying how, when Jimmy was out, Bam and Tyler were kind of able to hold it together. Truly, when Jimmy was out, that's when we got the biggest dose of Jaime Jaquez, a very similar Jimmy skill set, much polished, much more polished offensive player, better scorer. But to, pushing back on that a little bit, when Tyler was out, you had Jimmy, Bam, and Kyle. Shout out to Kyle for, as much as he was made to be, a little bit of a scapegoat of some things. So again, to your point about even that part being concerning, yeah, I do think that it is a bit concerning that when one of them is out, they seem to find an ease or a flow to them. But to get to where this team ultimately wants to get to, you do need that nucleus. You do need the three, not even nucleus, the nucleolus. That's the even more dense part inside the nucleus. The three of them, they really, really have to kind of find an accord that they all can drive on and not cross and be too much in each other's way. And what I really liked yesterday, and I think this is where the balance has to come into. You say, can Jimmy wear the cape all the time? No, I agree with you, Tiff. To up until now, early in the season, we should, as fans, should not have wanted to see Jimmy having to do all of this, because I think that speaks poorly on what the rest of the group is. But if you are going to have Tyler Herro, who is, we talked about it a little bit on the post game, the difference between Tyler the creator, Tyler the playmaker, right, versus Tyler the score first guard, and Tyler I'm looking not for where I can get to my spots, but I'm looking at the second line and the third line of defense and rotations to where I can keep my teammates involved. If you have a Tyler that is able to move it and distribute it first, while Jimmy, so if Tyler can do that, then the onus can be, and everyone can feel a bit more free with Jimmy, going about some primary scoring type of duties. When Jimmy falls off, Tyler, Bam, that's when you two step more forward into your looking to score first types of things. And so if they can find the soft spot and the if they can weigh the scales with that, I do think that they can sustain some of what it is that we saw. A large part is going to be a part of what the rest of the glue around them. JRich, I don't know if you're going to give me 6 for 10 from 3 every game, but truly, if you can give me like 4 for 7, 4 for 9, and then I get other contributing pieces. Harry, I don't expect to go 1 for 8, far, consecutively. Jaime, like, they have enough glue around them, but the glue, as important as it is, the glue won't matter unless that nucleolus of those three find how to, best move in orbit around one another. And I think that they can.
Right. Because I definitely agree with Nick. I think that was probably one of Tyler's best
It was
games
my
last
personal
night.
favorite. It was one of my personal favorites.
Right. Because he was the key, one of the biggest keys if you want to
Yes.
talk about the balance and the ball movement. Whereas he would come down a lot where I would cringe, and he would just look for the three, just automatically without surveying the court, looking around. Last night, you saw him looking for guys, finding the guys, and even just getting his head up, which always worried me that he never had his head up in transition, because when he got to half court, he had already made the decision he was shooting. And you know that because he's not surveying the court. Like, you just know he's shooting. And last night, his body language looked different. He looked more confident with the ball. He didn't dilly-dally with the ball. He didn't do a lot of playing around, dribbling with the ball. Everything had purpose that he was doing. But that's what we need moving forward. You need that from him moving forward, where there are going to be nights where he honestly has to be okay with less shots.
Mhm.
but more overall production. And then there's going to
Mhm.
have to be nights where he's going to have more shots because they're going to need the scoring.
Yes.
Um, and that's where you hope that that balance within him as a player can be sustained and moving forward. Um, and as far as Terry, what do you guys see? Because I see him getting into the paint with ease. Like the shots aren't dropping, but the fact that he's getting there and it looks effortless, that's a huge deal for this team who has no one that can do that. What do you guys see from him and what do you hope to see moving forward? Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I
brother.
just. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
It's all
No,
right.
Nick, you could have gone. Yeah, it is the ease with which he's able to kind of crack the outer defensive perimeter. And the finishing is what it is, and I again, I don't expect him to go 1 for 8 fairly often. Um,
Right.
he does a thing that I don't quite like. A lot of like guards with either a good wiggle about their game or a really good like stop and start herky jerky type. He gets to the cup and he's very willing to go one hand. That shit stresses me out a little bit, but sometimes it is necessary on a extended type of thing. But and I I appreciate him coming in and how I predicted it, not wanting to step on anyone's toes, right? I have a great deal of respect for how
Mhm.
this team goes about their things. He said, in Charlotte, losing was part of the DNA. So at this point, LaMelo out, I'm cool, I'm coming down, I'm fine jacking or whatever.
Right.
Something gotta look good. I'm leaving here with something. So I feel like with a group around him that he respects, a team that he has loved since a kid. Shout out to Dwayne Wade. I think that you and the empowerment from the rest of the people around him. No, yeah, move the ball, but we need you to score. We need you to at
Mhm.
least seek out opportunities to create mismatches, to create advantages offensively, even if it doesn't result in a scoring opportunity for you.
Right.
Create advantageous situations for the rest of us, and I think that he will continue to do so. You saw him, his interior passing. He's kind of figuring out who to look for and where. The little dump offs to Bam. He had
Mhm.
like a little bit of a wraparound to Jimmy. So I appreciate his the progression of his integration, and I think within the next couple of games you'll see a more balanced attack between facilitating, distributing, and also kind of getting his.
Mm.
Yeah, it's the twitchiness that stands out to me
Mhm.
personally.
It's
The
fantastic.
Yep.
you mentioned like the herky jerky, like the quick subtle movements to just get by guys, and it's not even just guys that are like big men like Isaiah Hartenstein on
Yeah.
Saturday, but like when OG Anunoby, Kevin Durant switched onto him. I get
Mhm.
Kevin
Yeah.
Durant's maybe not known as his best defender, but he did that same exact move twice on both guys, and he had him lost at the free throw line. That little half spin turnaround mid
Hmm.
range jumper. The jumpers haven't fallen so far for Terry, but I mean, he's getting good looks. There's been a couple shots here and there that it's like, all right, felt like you forced that one just a bit, but I think
Yeah.
overall, and that's the main thing I feel like, as at least personally me, I don't know how y'all felt about Kyle Lowry. The part that was so frustrating about him is that his unwillingness to get inside, collapse the defense, and then it would just allow you to kick out for open shooters. And Terry is just not afraid to do that. He is going to
Right.
try to get to the cup. He'll look for his shot first, but I feel like he's also improving every single day. And when he starts to get more repetition with the rest of these guys in the lineup, he'll know what they like to do, where they like to get it. Where is they going to be when I drive? Are they going to fall to the corner? Are they going to rise back up to the top of the key? I think as he just gets more and more comfortable with this squad, his ability to get 2 feet in the paint is, I like to say, and then because that will just draw defenders, it will drop off to Bam, that baseline cutter, whether it be Haywood, Jaquez, or Jimmy for easy dunks. I feel like they got like 4 or 5 of
Mm.
those yesterday, relatively easy on the baseline. Or you just kick it out when Duncan Robinson comes back and he can continue to knock down threes at the rate he is. It's just like the way he's able to collapse the defense, that's the ultimate way to me where this Heat offense can continue to increase and just get better, because that's how they've been getting killed, is the point of attack defense just getting absolutely shredded. They have to go over rotate, they over close out too aggressively, and then it's just an over and over constant thing where the opponent is getting inside easy looks or kicking out for wide open threes. But Terry is able to kind of give us some of that on our own
Right.
offense.
Right. I think I love what I'm starting to really enjoy about him is that he gets the ball and he looks to go.
Yeah.
Like that is the one thing that is just kind of like when you watch this team, it's just like they're trudging in mud. But
Yeah.
he literally gets the ball and he's trying to run and he's trying to get easy points. It's a breath of it's a breath of fresh air. But I will say when it's speaking about Kyle, I think the thing about it is that we also have to admit, like, we got him when the sun was going down.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't get him at his peak. We didn't get him at his middle peak. We
Yeah.
literally got him. We literally
It
got
was
him
a
on 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, and it's
girl at
winter.
it's
So
dusky.
right. So the sun is going down at 4:30. We got him at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Um, but when he did join, he did get into the paint a little bit. But there's a difference between like Terry is springy. He's thin
Yes.
and he's springy. Kyle
Yes.
doesn't have that type of build or body and nothing springy about my man.
Yeah.
So there, it's just it's night and day. Even when he led us to the 1 seed, you watch him and then you watch how Terry is able to get up and down the court and move on the court. It's just like they're just so polar opposites. Um, so I got to do this because I feel like as a Heat family, we're all going to gather around and it's time to speak highly of JRich.
Go ahead.
So for tonight's sermon, I will be giving JRich that bouquet of flowers that I feel like my
Mhm.
man
Mhm.
deserves because
Mhm.
he's put together a string of games where I have not been scratching my head and wondering what the hell is going on. He has looked alert. He has looked competent. His shot is falling. He's looking a little bit more spry on defense. He's putting something together. Um, I'm appreciating it.
Yeah.
I'm appreciating it. I'm enjoying it. Nick, are you enjoying it?
I mean, listen, you're gonna get 6 threes from Josh Richardson. You're gonna be fired up about that. I mean, 6 of 10 yesterday. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I didn't know if Duncan Robinson snuck in, like just like got his power stolen or something. I don't know. But Josh Richardson, I've been very critical of him at times this year. There's been times for me like he's been good. It is been really night and day at times for Jay Rich. The offense has been up and down. The thing that has been the most concerning to me with him is his defense. But if he's able to get into that shooting mode where
Hmm.
he's not really putting the ball on the deck that often, I think I saw some stat today. I don't know who had it, but like I think it might have been Brady or something like that, where like when he doesn't put the ball on the deck and he puts up the three, he's shooting 37% or something like that. But either way, I think Rich he's done just a better job, and if he's able to play in more of that role
Hmm.
where he's not trying to just get inside and stuff, and it's just more fluidity, more ball movement, where he's playing in the flow, catching, putting up a shot if he's open. I think that's better role for Josh Richardson rather than the potential backup point guard where he's handling the rock, dribbling the ball for 10, 15 seconds, like I felt like he was doing more often earlier on in the year.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's so shout out to Josh and we're getting into I think the parts of the season where you're where Spo's acumen in his like pressing of certain buttons is kind of starting to show through. Earlier part of the season, I know a lot of people there have been worthy spaces of frustration and of kind of questioning and like, I'm not really sure what's your logic there, Eric. So why are you? But and again, the acquisition of Terry certainly helps kind of stratify and put guys in a bit more clean fitting of places. Nick, you're absolutely right. When Josh Richardson is doing a lot of primary handling against a set defense at the top of the key, it's frustrating for me. I don't need us bringing Josh Richardson off of Stags and trying to read who's stepping forward, who's fading, who's about to switch. Like I don't. That's a lot. I feel like Josh in a catch and shoot or in a more catch and shoot heavy role, but with like the secondary ball handling. If you get it and you have a closeout, attack that. If you get it on the
Right.
baseline and you have a guy closing out high side on your left, go baseline, give me that baseline skip pass. We can do things like that. I don't need you trying to meander against the teeth, like in the gut of the defense. And again, to the question of sustainability earlier, if he's able to kind of find a niche and be comfortable, and there's no reason for someone like a Josh to not be comfortable here. There's no reason to have too much pushback. You're
Right.
featured. You are a super productive cog of this wheel that we're trying to get turning now. So I've been critical of him too. I've hated a lot of his defensive output, Nick. I was at one point like, hey, I don't even you giving me these jump shots, cool. I could have less of that if it gives me you defensively back. Like I need you guarding people. I need you sliding. I need your angle work good. I need your defensive discipline better. And I still find myself wanting some of that. And I think that he can sharpen up and tighten up those things. But if he's able to do that and be cool doing some catch and shoot, some secondary, tertiary penetration type stuff, this is the Josh Richardson that I envision being a substantial member of what this thing looks like going forward.
Right. It's interesting because as he's coming on, I still think when you look at this team, there's still some glaring holes.
Yeah,
Whereas I got, it's like I got a lot of toast but one egg. So it's like you got to try to figure out
yeah,
how to like put this together and
yeah.
make the product more viable. Um so coming up we have the trade deadline. So we traded Kyle, we brought in Terry. So now we have the Tyler Terry backcourt. Um for me personally, I think that while you got those two, and then you have players like JRich and you have Caleb, and between those four, none of them are particularly good at the point of attack.
Correct.
Um, so moving forward, do you guys think there are any, and not only in that position, but just overall team, any positions, any positions that are at need where you see players out there and you think this is a realistic trade for the Heat this season? Nick, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I've always wanted a backup center. That's kind of the thing that I've always had my eyes on. We've just seen it too many times over and over again in the biggest moments when Bam comes out of these games. Like, I don't need you to be Bam. I just don't need you to be Cody Zeller in game 4 or 5 of the NBA Finals last year. That's all I'm asking. I don't know what his price would be. I've always been a fan of Day'Ron Sharpe's game in Brooklyn. I think if you just give
Hmm.
him 10 to 15 minutes off the bench, he can be someone to gobble up some rebounds, help protect the rim a little bit. He's not making too much money, 2.5 mil, I believe it is. And to your point about Caleb, and I know this has been a very common theme, but I'm also on that team, I guess you could say, of like, listen, you're not going to be able to retain him this
Right.
offseason in all likelihood. And I just think that you use that asset now to help upgrade this team. Now, if I had to put money on it, I don't know if a deal gets done. I don't know if it took us a long time for Pat Riley to make one trade to help this team. Is he going to really do two in 2 weeks? I don't know. But I've always liked to go the backup center route. Day'Ron Sharp, someone always been intrigued in. I mean, honestly, someone I've talked to who's watched the Bulls a lot said Drummond's been an improved defender. Drummond's a name that's intriguing. That could be a cheap option as well, just to help come in and get some rebounds, because we saw how much we struggled with that against Phoenix on Monday, getting rebounds when Bam even was on the court as well. So I've always had some want, I should say, for a backup center.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have someone for a backup center. I have thoughts about the center position for Miami overall, and I'll keep those to myself. That's a different conversation, different show. But yeah, I understand the need or the desire for some backup center. I'd like a bit more fortification, I think, at the four. Love my nephew Haywood. Um, but Spo has an aversion to playing him in the fourth. And I don't know if it's for a desire for wanting to be quicker, faster, but Haywood can run. Haywood like can get out with you, and he's improved kind of his aggression kind of in transition, semi transition. He had the little gather up in the finish above the rim or at the rim. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think a power forward fortifier. I think I would be highly interested in. I like shout out to Dorian Finney-Smith. That's my guy. I know that kid personally. Love him. Nic Richards. I enjoy Nic Richards from uh, Charlotte. If we would have got Nic Richards back with Terry, I would have been super happy. And well, no, because you have Terry until now, so your guard spots you're okay with. So yeah, I'm somewhere in a four. Like let's get some more athleticism, some more length, and some more I guess defensive prowess at the four. Guys that can switch, guys that can uh, Hamish is a great guard downer, like we were talking about behind the scenes. You say he guards twos and threes well. Love that. If
Right.
we had a four that could guard some 3-4 spot minutes guarding some fives, I think that really helps solidify us in some of our weak areas.
Right. So but here's the thing.
Yep.
If any of that comes true, we're still Olay into the basket though.
Yes.
So, but this is where I think I get confused with, because it's like you've got all these toys, but it's like you still need that special toy that could just kind of say, "All right, I got him,"
You
and
know
then
who else? So you
who's
so we're talking point of attack. I'm
yep,
so Davion Mitchell
hmm
from Sacramento. My boy Herb Jones out of New Orleans is a great wing kind of guard defender. Realistically, not sure if there's
right,
even any traction on those fronts or what it would take. But like I said, I was talking fours, and you're super correct. We still need point of attack
right,
people.
right, because I think, but because this is where I always say, like, sometimes too much is too much,
Yeah,
because you're at a loss for a couple of positions, but then you have some pretty good guys already in those positions. And where you're going to have to fortify your team is if you did get a Davion Mitchell and, you know, you need a defensive stop. When can you look at your guards, either one? Because you can't have both of them on the court if you need a defensive stop.
right.
So are we moonwalking to the position of saying, all right, Tyler, you're out, Davion, you're in?
You mean in
Because
lieu
this
of
is
like would Tyler be sent out in that? Is that what you're asking?
no, not a trade, but I'm saying
Oh,
if you get this guy, there's going to be moments where these two starting guards, they can't close together,
Terry
especially in
hasn't
the
been closing.
playoffs.
Terry
No,
hasn't been
no.
closing.
But I'm saying if you're bumping it up to the playoffs,
Yeah.
both of
Yeah.
them can't close.
Well, matchup depending, situation depending, I
But
feel.
this is what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
there's that comfort level where all these things have to be able to be revolving around each other
Yeah.
if you're trying to
Yeah, I mean
win.
that's the tough call for Spo. I mean, you saw yesterday, Hero. I mean, they kind of just rid Josh Richardson's hot hand there at the end, but like Tyler didn't really play the closing of that game. He came in with a final minute and a half because of free
Yeah.
throws, but he didn't really play in the clutch time, if you will, of that game. So Spo's going to have to make those tough decisions. I like
hmm
Davion Mitchell. I mean, dating back to when he was playing at Baylor, like I always thought
Hmm.
his game was going to translate to the NBA. Just the once again twitchy guard, to use that phrase again. Yeah, the offense hasn't been great for Davion in his early career, but he has always been a tenacious defender, someone that I've always been intrigued on. I said the other day, I don't think it's really plausible because of his price tag, but I always
Mhm.
thought Alex Caruso would be a perfect Miami Heat basketball player. And if you paired him up alongside, well, it'd obviously have to be Terry in the closing lineup, or I guess you could go Tyler either way. But if you paired up Caruso with one of those two guards in the backcourt to close games, he's
Yeah.
shooting 40+% from three
Yeah.
this year. He can guard 1 through 3. He was competitive against Kevin Durant when they matched up earlier this year. Like Caruso to me would be like a perfect addition, but that asking price of 2 firsts, I don't know if Pat Riley's going to be willing to meet that.
Is that even still up for grabs? I remember not long ago, Chicago. I'm in Chicago. Chicago said, "We not don't talk to us about Alex Caruso. He's not going anywhere." So, but no, I agree. I just that guy. I don't know that guy's even still actually on the market anymore.
Yeah, it would just be tough. Like,
Yeah.
what does Chicago envision? Are they really like? Are they? They're
Right.
in a rough spot for them
I
personally. I
don't.
don't want to like go on to the Chicago Bulls side of things, but like,
Right.
are they going to keep this core that they
Right.
have right now? Or are they just going to blow it up? You'd imagine if they do blow it up, Caruso might be one of their most valuable, if not their most valuable
Yep.
player. Are you going to build around him? Are you going to deal him? That's a different discussion for a different day. But
Yeah.
if
Right.
if he was available, man, I'd be all in on that.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because it's like if you look around the league right now, most teams are teetering either we're trying to win or in 3 days we're gonna call it quits. Like I like I
Three
really
days.
feel like that. And I always say, Nick, I always say to Bond, I'm always like, what are we doing? Like what's the final boss here as far as the Heat are concerned? Because realistically, and I said this last year, not to my own horn, I was like, they probably ain't making the playoffs or they're going to the finals. And everybody was laughing and they went to the finals. But here's the thing, happenstance doesn't happen every day. So at some point, what's the direction? What do you like? I look at this team right now on paper and I don't have a either playoff no playoffs or finals. Like I don't have that feeling. For me,
Mhm.
I look at this team and I say, all right, maybe second round. And that's
Yeah.
if you make no more moves and this is what you roll into the playoffs with. And I'll say that, but then lo and behold, Joel Embiid hurts his knee. So
So,
there's always other circumstances where that can propel you further than you probably should go. But if we're just looking at this in a vacuum, what's the move here? What direction are you going in? Nick, you're the GM, where are you going with this?
Oh man, I feel like you owe it to Jimmy Butler to go chips all in one more time. Just what he's been able to do. Like I've been outspoken, at least for me personally. I'm a big Nikola Jovic guy. I think he could be good in the future, but he just doesn't help you right now, at least. And if you are pushing your chips all in to help Jimmy Butler, you have to be willing to trade him if a team is okay. Like to me, his value is still a first round pick. You still have 20, 30 you can send. So you have some assets out there to me. You can make a move. You mentioned what is this team ceiling? The thing for me is I think we can beat any team in a 7 game series besides one right now. I just don't see us beating Boston, at least in the Eastern Conference. Western Conference is a different story because Clippers give me nightmares. So does Denver. But at least in the East, I don't really see, at least currently constructed, us competing with the Celtics after their addition of Kristaps and Drew Holiday. Like the Kristaps thing was so glaring because when they go to that double big lineup and they
Yeah,
get
yeah,
Kristaps switched on
yeah.
to one of our fours, which you go back to that point of adding another four potentially. Like you just get to Kristaps in the post, just turn around, rise up over whether it be Haywood or Jimmy, and they couldn't
doesn't
contest
even
it.
have to rise up. Just lifts his
It just was,
arms up.
yeah. It looked like he was shooting over high school kids.
Yeah. I
Like
mean, so that's kind of thing. Like, I think we could still beat the Bucks, to be honest. But the
yeah,
Celtics is kind of where I draw the
we're not
line.
worried about the Bucks. I
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even consider them when we talk about the East.
Yeah.
You know why? I mean, you brought in Doc Rivers. That tells me all. That tells me all I need to know. I'm not even thinking about them. Yeah. So, and what's the all in? Give me an all in. Even if it can't happen, give me an all in that you think this right now will propel them to winning the chip this year.
If I'm at the deadline, I think the move I would make is someone brought up earlier today, Dorian Finney-Smith. I think that is your guy who can play that power forward position. Maybe you try to get Royce O'Neal coming back as well, someone that could come off the bench and be a 3-and-D guy. Because if you use Caleb in that deal potentially, I don't know what the framework would be right now, to be honest, off the top of my head. But if you could get Royce O'Neal coming off the bench, I'd like those two additions. Dorian, because he can guard the center spot, and not for like an extended period of time, but I believe he can do it
Yep.
on like a possession to possession basis where like
Right.
he gets switched on for 5 to 6 seconds. Like he'll fight. He's got the physicality to push some guys around. And then also, I know we had a really brutal month of January shooting the basketball. Don't think that's going to last. So Dorian Finney-Smith ability to defend in the front court alongside Jimmy and Bam, I think would be perfect. He can space the floor. To me, he's like a PJ Tucker-esque player, but like on a different level, at least as of right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because you say, I agree that go all in, right? And you mentioned my firstborn, Nicola, and I do think I want him to stay. I think he has great promise. But he is an attractive chip. I genuinely feel if you went to Jimmy and said, "Hey, we can do X, Y, and Z," they want Josh, Caleb, the second, the first, and Nicola. I honestly feel like Jimmy would say, not Nicola. But I just get that off of the relationship that the two of them feel like they've met made. Jimmy went to go see him. I genuinely feel like Jimmy was the reason that he got that extended chunk of time that he did spoke. Just give him a try. Don't play him at the 5. Let him just give him. I really feel like Jimmy is a Nicola Avid, but I also don't think that Jimmy would necessarily let that prevent from a substantive move being made. I like um, I like Dorian a lot. Prior to Terry coming, I'm someone I admire. I enjoy Chris Dunn. I thought Chris Dunn could have helped in
Yep.
a couple of types of ways. There's a forward on Utah that, of course, Lowry, but that's not happening. There was someone else on Utah that I kind of was looking at too, but I really do like Dorian. To your point about
Mhm.
being able to guard the 5 in spot minutes, a lot of times a smaller but stronger or like a firm, a good based guy who can get up under someone and make it uncomfortable to kind of bring the ball down and kind of gather into yourself makes
Mhm.
bigs really uncomfortable. And Dorian is strong. Dorian has the mentality. Like I said, I know that guy personally. His family is of great stuff, and he will work. Dorian will work for you. He will buy in, and you know the future is the future. But if you really wanted to keep that as part of what you look like going forward, I think it would be a good, just a good chip to have in the culture and what it is that we're trying to do. We talked about shooting at one point in the season. Dorian was among the top 10 in catch and shoot shooting, among the top 10 in EPM, and in like catch and shoot percentage. He's had a bit of a rough spell, but rough spells happen, but they don't, typically don't last for a guy with a confident stroke. And we generate good looks. Like we're not a team that
Yep.
doesn't get clean threes. For all of our lack of penetration and all of these things, we generate, whether it's Bam, Jimmy, or Jaime being doubled somewhere in
Mhm.
the extended post, we get good looks. So, I really like Dorian. The before Terry came to, the idea of like Dorian and Spencer intrigued me. I know Tiff is kind of out on Spencer, but I like the body, and I think there's a steadiness there. But I would put it into to Dorian if you
Yeah, we're not talking about Spencer.
could.
I mean, if he comes, delete this, I guess. But and
Brian,
so
cut this part out. Cut this
cut this
timestamp.
part out. Cut that out. Cut that out. So to kind of bring everything back full circle and to wrap it up, I believe there are no more moves to be made. While I would like
Yeah.
to see it, there's a part of me that says, Tiff, you're going to eat this dinner and you're going to like it because this is
Yeah.
all I got. So let's close it out. If this is all we got, what needs to happen?
Nick.
Oof. Yeah, that's a tough question to answer right now. Oh, man. I'd like to just say keep on doing what you did yesterday, just carbon copy that, but obviously that's not realistic. I think if they want to continue to rise up the Eastern Conference standings, not have to worry about the play-in, assuming
Mhm.
no moves be made. Just more of an attention to detail on the defensive end. I think that film session on Tuesday really led to good things yesterday. And the thing that I brought it up a little bit earlier in the show that is always something to me, like I don't think running around being in rotation is the end all be all. Like you have to still close out under control because if you just
Yes.
run at the guy and you're not in a defensive ready position, like it's just going to happen
Yeah.
over and over again. So just continuing to be mentally focused, know where the opponent's strengths are, the weaknesses. I know we're not going to go full like 7-game playoff series scouting on these teams in the regular season, but like just know that, oh, we got KD in the corner in the zone. Oh, that's probably not a guy we should leave open consistently from the corner. So just like I think the defensive keys and closing out under control on the defensive side will
Mhm.
only lead to positive things. I think the offense, I don't want to just keep on saying give to Jimmy, but I think that would be obviously something that's going to help this team. It always starts with defense to me. I'm a sucker for
Yeah.
the defensive end.
Super same. I am a
Mhm.
defensive girl. That is where, your shooting can come and go. It's going to come and go. And it sounds super cliche, but like cliches are cliches because they get repeated and they get repeated because they're typically kind of correct. Your defense has to be the thing that you can take with you. And so I definitely agree with it. With regards to the zone, I'd like to see is there's some minute things at the top of the zone that we have to kind of clean up. Are we staying with the person on the ball when the ball is advanced from side to side on the dribble? Or are we switching
Right.
off on the pass? Because if we're staying on the pass and I got somebody in the corner, now we're effing the rotations up something that it's bothering me to see, but I do think that we'll probably go away from it come playoff time. I don't like how ready we are to double guys off
Right.
of the
Right.
extended post because all it is doing is leading to swing corner pocket at the other end of the other side of the floor. With the Brooklyn game, I don't know if we'll do it. I don't know if we'll ever do it, but I really loved the way that they went about doubling us, Nick. I don't know if you saw, but like when we played Boston, they were doubling us from 2 passes away. So it's not
Mhm.
that first guy, it's that guy kind of at the slide at the elbow. That's where that double's coming. The top guy is able to kind of split. It's a more controlled, but still really effective doubling coverage. And so I feel like come playoffs we do that a bit less and we just kind of man up because we can't keep giving up these corner attempts. So I think like the communication, the really tightening in to what we are trying to do in the nuts and bolts of it defensively, and then yeah, offensively, like I said, that three-headed monster, they gotta, continue to kind of find a balance. Tyler, can you be cool doing this way? And then when we need you to assert yourself as a scorer, be ready to step into that. Bam, these middies. I'm a mid-range fan, but the rate at which he's kind of falling off with them is alarming. You got to bring those back up. But I think we have the pieces. Spo has the recipe, and it's just about kind of putting it all together and getting something good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one thing I'd like to add on Bam, I liked at the times he was really aggressive yesterday, like
Yeah.
when maybe Jimmy and Tyler were even off the court. I remember specifically a
Mm.
2-play sequence where they got it to Bam on, if you're watching on TV, the right block, and he was double teamed, and he kicked it back out to Terry, and Terry immediately gave it back to Bam, no
Yes.
hesitation, quickly got to
Mm.
the rack for a left-handed layup. He did it twice in a row. I think Bam has improved his jump shooting, and I like that he likes to show it off at times. But I think if Bam continues that aggressiveness, attacks the glass, gets back to what he was doing so effectively in the beginning of the season, where he was drawing a lot of fouls by getting to the rim more often, I think that will just help our defense. I liked what I saw from him yesterday. I just want to add that real quick.
No, that was listen, you know how often we talk about how nobody can feed the post? So the fact that he gave it to him, Bam kicked it back out, and he gave it right back to him. We haven't had that for a long time. So
Kyle used
even
to do
that,
it when Kyle
yeah.
first got here. Bam
Well,
would
I
be
mean,
super quick to give it back. Kyle, no, take the ball, do something down
yes,
here.
but that was at 3:15 when we got Kyle. We
Right,
got
right,
Kyle
right,
at 3
right.
o'clock. That
It's
was at
4:45
3:15.
now,
The
so
sun
it's you're
goes
right,
down at
right.
4:15 in the winter
You're right. You're
on
right.
the East Coast.
You're right.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. And
Nicola gets it to
I
Bam
admit,
easy.
shout out. I mean, I know, but Nick already traded him, so
He did. He
don't
did.
worry
He
about
did.
it. Nick,
Hey, it
Nick
broke my
already
heart.
traded him.
I was up at 5 a.m. watching Serbia Canada in the FIBA World Cups. I love watching that guy play hoop.
Same.
No, we love him around here.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. Nick, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, Nick, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I do a lot of stuff. You can follow me on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it at Nic_Rohloff. Like you see me on screen there. Yeah, I host the Miami Heat Report on YouTube. It's by Chat Sports, large parent company in Dallas, Texas. I work as a producer / host. I do a bunch of things, but I'm lucky enough to cover the Heat team I've grown up watching since I was 8, 9 years old, watching basketball. So Heat Report by Chat Sports, Nic Rohloff _Rohloff on Twitter.
Bond.
Man, I'm just on Twitter. I should be more places than I am, but life be life, and trying to get my stuff out, get my output back out. But yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm with Miami Heat Beat, our post game shows here on Mixed Bag when Tiff wants me, and I'm around at Siobhan Beslow.
All right. So I'll just say this real quick. If there is a big trade that happens that the
Right?
Heat do, that they're not gonna do.
That they
But
won't.
if they do it, it's not gonna happen.
Don't think about it.
Nick, you will come back.
Nick, you're not coming
Man.
back. They're not gonna do it.
Oh, no, I guess I'm not coming back.
If there's a big trade, I'm gonna have Nick back, and we will rekindle all of this that we said might happen, should happen, probably won't happen, but did happen. Got
Yep.
it? So
Just
Yeah, I'm just ready for the buyout market.
that's same. But to all you out there, always remember you are seen, you are heard, you are loved. Be good to yourself and each other. Peace.